Joining us today is RochaN Mohapatra, a familiar and renowned person with his in-depth knowledge of Ashokan policies, a fourth-year student pursuing an interdisciplinary study in CS and entrepreneurship. RochaN wears many hats for all of us. He is a person who is heading the placement committee to serving the leaders of opposition minister and cultural ministry. His leadership and expertise also extends in Orators Club, the student government, and many more. He's been an essential part of the student community of Ashoka, and we are very happy to have him.
We're also delighted to welcome Vamika Dadu, an individual known for a blend of fun-loving spirit and serious work ethic. She's a third-year student specializing in ecofin with an entrepreneurship concentration. Vamika thrives on last-minute deadlines and indulges in desserts at every meal, and even chocolates, even if she struggles to finish them due to her low diet. She holds leadership roles in Ashoka and Orators, currently serving as the cultural minister and entrepreneurship rep. So, for those who don't know, Banjaara is the biggest annual cultural fest of Ashoka, and it is an event with various art forms, dance, oratory games, fashion, and just a host of other events. And we're really excited to have the leaders of Banjaara here on this podcast. So, that was our introduction to Banjaara. It's pretty textbook, but I'm curious, what does Banjaara mean to the two of you? Anyone can start.
Roshan, you want to go first?
So, like, every college has a inter-college fest, and Ashoka was at a place where we didn't have anything. So I think when I joined Ashoka, it was my first thing that what is here, what happens, and things like that. So for me, Banjara is the place where the whole campus is excited. All the admin offices and all the clubs, all the student organizations have some or the other stake in it. So I would put people, more particularly Ashokans, at the center of this event. So that's what Banjara would be to me.
Yeah, and what for you?
So I think for me also it's slightly similar in terms of, so I'm from Mumbai, where all these colleges have major fests, like there's Shritij from Mitibai, then there's like NMI Meska Fest and all these fests. And when I came to Ashoka, like RochaN, and I was like, okay, what is Ashoka Ka Fest? And in fact, I got to know from RochaN only, it's Banjara. So that's when I was like, oh, I really want to be a part of Banjara and everything. And since then, it's just been on my like head that, okay, yes, Banjara is something I definitely want to do. And I don't know, luck, everything turned out pretty well, and I was the fest secretary with RochaN. And for me, Banjara is really close to my heart. It is like my baby, and I just feel that it was something that, like RochaN also said, we wanted to like mobilize everyone in Ashoka and even outside Ashoka. Like I want Banjara to be known in all other colleges in terms of like, oh, haan, Ashoka ka fest hai. Like right now, if you say Banjara and let's say in a DU college, they won't know what it is. But if you say, at least I can tell you in Mumbai because I am from Mumbai. If you say Shritij or if you say Malhar, in a second everyone will know what you're talking about because that's what the major fest of those colleges are. So for me, Banjara was and is something that I want as a recognition for Ashoka and something that is also very close to my heart.
I think this is also something very similar because as first years, the only thought that comes to us was that we didn't have anything of a first year fest that, for us. So we were like, there is no fest in Ashoka. And considering a lot of Ashokans are from Delhi NCR. So DU Fest is something that we've all understood and heard about. And, it's something that, we've always wanted to go in one sense or the other. So was there any thought behind the Banjara that, came from DU culture or the way you planned it out or the way it executed had some elements of the DU culture?
So I think I'll just tell a little about the history of Banjara. It was started in 2017. The first one was, I think from what I hear, it was a 36-hour continuous fest. And there was, in the night from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., there was a Bollywood party in the first floor of the mess, and from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., a neon party in the ground floor. That was the first Banjara, but as you can imagine, things went in a very different scale, and then administration came together and said that now this is not going to work, you have to come up with something more. So second year something happened, third year it went a little down because of the smog and a lot of issues. So I'm not sure if there is any resemblance to DU Fest, but definitely someone I had spoken to wanted who was marketing for the first Banjara, their whole point was that we should have something to get people here. And back then Ashoka was a very small college with roughly 700 people in total.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they had organized the first Banjara. Our time is very different, and because of the COVID, there was a significant gap also. So I think from the first, second, and third Banjara to the fourth, and now the fifth one upcoming, I think the correlation has been uh, quite less. But DU Culture Fest, I think that's the same everywhere. We did take some. Now we have taken a lot of lessons from them because like they have made some things which we would love to make and not do as well same time.
Vale.
So minimal influence of the previous Banjaras or this fest or DU Fest also for that reason.
Got it.
Interesting. You mentioned the 3-year gap because of COVID
Yeah.
between Banjara festivals. So I'm sure when you were organizing the fourth edition, right?
Yeah.
Fourth edition, you guys must have had a lot of pressure that this has to be good because it's after 3 years
Yeah.
and Ashoka's fairly new, so we want everyone to feel like there's a cultural vibe to Ashoka.
Mhm.
So talk to me more about that pressure and what made you guys resume Banjara, especially because you did CS, you did economics, and I mean those subjects are pretty heavy in terms of course load. So managing that with a festival like Banjara, that's a lot of work. So talk to me more about that.
So, yeah. So I think in terms of pressure, more than pressure, it was more on the lines of we wanted to, like, it was more difficult than more pressurizing, simply because we didn't have like an example or like the people who'd done Banjara before, none of them were still in college. So we didn't have like an advisor or someone we could just reach out to and be like, oh, ye kaise kya tha? And even if we did, like, we did get in touch with a couple of people who were in the earlier editions, but it was more on the lines of they didn't remember much, and that's very fair because it was like 3 years ago. So it was sort of like paving a new path only because I'm pretty sure that the Banjara that was there earlier versus what it is right now, like what we did last year, would be quite different because we added our own touch to it. But in terms of pressure, I think I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but because Banjara was happening after 3 years, a lot of people didn't know what Banjara was. So the pressure wasn't from expectations, oh, we want to make it as good as last Banjara. It was more on the lines of the pressure was that, oh, we want to make it a big thing so that it's a big enough name next year for like, to like, you know, sort of like continue the legacy, but restart it.
Valid. So
Reviving was the main
major
thing. Yeah.
idea behind it.
And about courses as well. See, everyone has 24 hours in a day. How you place it depends entirely on you. I don't believe in the time factor, but I believe in the mental space factor. And like, it does take up a lot of mental space. So that is something that I would say. And Vamika and I both have worked together previously as well. So we have been in roles where we had given a lot of our time to things outside academics. So that wasn't really a transition. When we took up Banjara, we minimized our other things, and I was very particular with all
it was
the
like,
people.
oh, what are the
that-
commitments you
Yeah,
have, and like making sure. So we always made sure Banjara is the first priority outside of academics
And health. Yeah.
yes. But like, just adding to that, RochaN had this very particular way of saying it. It was you can only have 3 things. So there are 4 things you have, which is your academics, sleep, social life, and extracurriculars. Out of those 4, you can only get 3 things. So you have to sacrifice on one. Is what.
Yeah,
you-
I say 3 things. That is social life, sleep,
sleep
and
and academics.
academics. So
That's
out
like,
of
oh.
these 3, you can
But
have
they can
only
only
2. But extracurriculars aa jata hai,
हाँ
matlab.
मतलब वो social life okay
Social
that's
life,
yeah
academics.
but that's what so I think all of us sacrificed one out of those 3 or 4 things and we were like हाँ
Yeah.
मतलब this has to take a backseat. I think for me it was sleep but yeah so it used to be like after Banjara meetings which went on like till 1 or 2 a.m.
3.
then yeah and then I used to study. So I feel
Yeah.
like if you ask anyone in Ashoka also who was there around that time, they'd always know that oh, after 3 a.m. Vamika is going to be sitting in Irish to comments because I'd probably be the only one who's sitting there and studying. Because I was like, I need to study also.
I think this was this one line, you know, choosing out of 3, choosing 2 is what we were told on the first day of Ashoka, that you have to balance it and you can only do 2 out of these 3. And but what were some of your memorable moments on your journey of Banjara, and is there one specific memory that you feel is the highlight of Banjara for you? It can be as small as just someone giving you a smile or being like you did a great job, or anything that you feel was something very close to you.
Quite a few, but one is so we had a group called Top. Though now
Banjara Top.
Yeah, though
Okay.
now I think we should change the name. Like they should change the name to be more horizontal and all of that. But that was we started off as 5 people. Then we became 7. So the bonding that the 7 of us had during the fest, I think that's something that I would really cherish. And one day we were like having meetings, and five or seven of us were having meetings throughout the day. It was like a startup where all the people are going in different directions. They're doing their meetings with different stakeholders and coming back at the end of the day to sort of fill
Update
everyone
each
in,
other.
brief everyone in, and get everyone on the same page. So one of the meetings, all of us, I think, were just sitting and talking, and Shashwat, who was the deputy press secretary for competitions, travel, hospitality, and safety and security, randomly, he was the former president of
Orators.
Orators, yeah.
So you know how he is. And I think suddenly some conversation was happening. It was after admin meeting, and I think we didn't know what to say. And
In the admin meeting, we were like, okay, we don't have updates.
yeah, so suddenly I indicated to Shashwat, and he just went on and on for half an hour. So later, when we came back and we were having a debrief, I said something like, Shashwat is like a smoothie, filling, nutritious, something and all, because he was speaking sense. He was speaking like total sense. It wasn't rubbish, or he wasn't trying to fill in, but he had so many updates that he could engage the admin for half an hour when we were trying to figure out kya chal raha hai. So that became a running joke, and in the group, that was one of the taglines that we had as well. One is that, and another would be like something. So most Banjara on campus before us is seen by, honestly, the security guards and the admin staff. So one of the security supervisors, Huda sir, I think he's been here since Ashoka started 7 years or something, and he actually told me that आप लोगों ने काफी अच्छे से organize किया है, because they legitimately had traumatic experiences, and they were very worried about Banjara because of the kind of things that they have seen.
Yeah.
We took extreme measures to make sure nothing of that sort happens, but it didn't happen. Like, not that we prevented it, we had measures to prevent, but there was no inclination of that also.
Right.
So honestly, the appreciation that personally I got from them for managing it effectively, that is something that I think will stand out, and that is something that everyone has said, that the way you have taken certain things, the certain steps you have taken, is not something that previous Banjaras had taken.
What about you?
So, like, obviously, one of the major memories we had is just almost every night we had a meeting, the 7 of us, we just used to sit and give each other updates, and that actually did bring us very close. So, even though, like, some of us were close beforehand, but all of us became like a good
One core
cohesive
team, yeah.
Yeah, plus, in fact, if I actually have to think about it, even after Banjara got over that semester, because these people had become my comfort people, I was just hanging out with these people. In fact, my social life was just restricted to them, because after Banjara, I always obviously burnt out as well. Because we've done so much work. So if I did talk to anyone, it would usually be just those
7 people.
Yeah. But one memory of mine is also, like, on the first day of Banjara, around like 4 or 5 p.m., there was just this, I was walking towards, I was walking in the lawns,
The mess lawns?
the lane, so mess
Right,
lawns
right,
mean
right,
that
okay.
lane that leads you to the volleyball court.
Got it.
So mess to volleyball court, that lane. So I was walking there, and I just looked around, and there was so many people outside. Everyone was enjoying. There were like Red Bulls, or like everything was there. The whole atrium, the dupatta thing was there, and I could just see so many people. And what was also really nice was, one, I'd never seen Ashoka being this populated. 2, obviously there were a lot of external people also coming in. And it was just something like, oh, finally what we'd visualized, the dream we had actually come into place, and it's completely been executed. So that was like a very nice moment, which I think I'll always keep with me.
Yeah.
You saw it come into fruition.
Along with that, we also wrote a 40-page closure report.
Yeah. That was all Rocha.
Yeah. It was written by all
Yeah.
team members. Like, we had a breakdown of the 10 teams, and each HOD filled 1 or 2 pages. So it became a thick report, and anyone who picks it up, even 10-20 years down the line, it's going to be like a time capsule which writes everything down. So one problem we faced is that, first, no seniors.
Yeah.
Second, to tell us exactly how it happened. Definitely, I got the idea about Banjara from Kunal, so that's one. But along with that, there was no documentation whatsoever about what is to be done, how it's to be done, or anything. And that, I think, is not something that is very tough. You just keep doing it side by side, and it's done. But we came up with this 40-page comprehensive one, and that one can be used across different
Fests that can happen.
Yeah, because it talks about security, it talks about hospitality, it talks about finances, it talks about what you're not supposed to do with admin, what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to maintain your team, handle everything.
That's
So
like a legacy document.
yeah,
Like
and
a
that's
blueprint.
something that I think we all have together been able to give, which I really hope is useful. Now, even if there is a break for 4 or 5 years, someone picks up that document and sees, they will know ki this is how things were done back in that time.
Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful thing to know about, and also being people who are just come together passionately working on something. I think it's one of the best feelings you can have, and especially after the thing ends, the 7 people that you talked about just coming together is a beautiful moment, and it's
Yeah.
something that that friendship you'll always cherish forever. But now that you look back on the journey, it's kind of ended. I wouldn't say it's ended, but it's something that is in the past. How has it influenced your aspirations for the future endeavors that you have right now in some way or the other?
Wow.
That is a deep one.
Deep question, but luckily this is exactly what I had prepared for
Oh,
one of
wow.
my interviews, a life-changing experience or something along those lines. So it was one day we were having a meeting, and that time, I think it was a Friday night, and on Thursday ho ya Friday or any day of the week, we all are in constant meetings. Our party, social scene, everything has gone like literally down the drain. And I think for some of us, our relationships also went for a different kind of a toss. So it was Friday, and
Yeah.
something had happened that day. I had a fight with a very close friend, and on Saturday morning, we went for a field trip. And for the field trip, it was a part of the course called Theory and Practice of Leadership, and it was with Mr. Pramod Bhasin, founder of Genpact. So we went to Medanta Hospital,
Right.
and there the kind of shots that I was getting, like the reality checks kind of thing. So they took us to the middle of the trauma ward in Medanta Hospital.
Oh my god.
So like literally, they asked us to close our eyes, stand for 10 seconds, and then walk out. So when we closed our eyes, like a movie, literally someone is getting CPR. Doctors are shouting codes. They're pushing in this injection, that injection. It was like a proper war zone. We came out and they were like, okay, so what did you hear? And we told this. They told this is what doctors heard for 3 years during COVID. And then I was
my
like,
God.
okay. And then the vice president told one thing, and it was like, in the hospitality industry, if a guest is unhappy, you send a bottle of champagne and say, I'm sorry. You can't do that to a dead person's relatives. And that time I was like floored, and it actually made me understand that the actions that we are doing have impact on other people's lives. And I had that fight also. So when all of that came together, by the end of this whole trip that we had, it was that one day changed me a lot, because the class was on managing stress. So they took us to the most stressful place, and they told us this is what stress looks like. So after that whole experience, I was like, oh, okay. I don't think I can complain so much about Banjaara, because it was a whole different ball game. We were maxed out, but when you see the larger picture, the effect it has on others is much on the positive side. We weren't holding anyone's lives together or anything along that. So that gave me a good attitude adjustment. I was at the right place after that, and a lot of things I was able to in my personal life also sort out accordingly. So that is one life-changing experience that I had during Banjaara, and the course intersected beautifully. So
Wonderful. Anything
That was a
that
very
you-
well interview answer. RochaN, you're hired.
thank you.
But I think for me, I don't have a life-changing experience like RochaN, but I just think that, like, one, obviously getting into Banjaara, I already knew this, but even after Banjaara, I am glad it continued. Is something that I always knew about me, is that I love events and I love any kind of fest or anything that's happening around me. I love not participating, more organizing it.
Yeah.
And it just, that gives me a lot of energy. So
That's
something
something
I
we
did.
got to know from RochaN in the introduction.
But yeah, in general, I feel like just events or any sort of I would say event or fest and everything just gives me so much happiness, and like just everything you've planned finally coming into place gives you so much satisfaction.
Absolutely.
So I think that I don't know how it's going to carry on in my future, but I know as a person, it obviously made me a person where I am more I would say enthusiastic about all of the
Planning
games and
aspect.
planning aspects, and I would love to continue that being in my life. So like how we're talking about how there was always academics going on in the background. Actually, it shouldn't be going on in the background. It was going on. But I was still doing something alongside it. I think that's something I want to continue doing even in my future. So while I'm working, I do want to get into the corporate world, yes. But along with that, I do want to have something side by side which makes me really happy, which is events, I would say. So yeah, that's what I got to know about myself.
That's lovely. But also the fact is that you handle a team of 100 people and 100 Ashokans, and well, whatever we've heard from people around us, that there were a lot of discussions and negotiations with the admin, with the student body, and all of it. So what was your take on it, and how did you handle all of this happening simultaneously while you were prepping and having the fest?
So how did we handle multiple things? So I categorized it into three things. One is people, process, and growth, like what is happening. So these three things. And for me, I realized even like going forward, my primary skill or something that I would like to spend most of my time with is people. Process, you get a good person to do documentation and set the things right, that will happen. Growth, that's literally what everyone is up to. PR, marketing, and everything is taken care of. But people, you can't outsource it. The one person can't manage your people for you. So my whole focus was on people. It was in though this is something
Like learning how to manage them.
Learning how to manage them and how to, so obviously the two of us couldn't do everything. Getting the best people and letting them do their thing, while also taking care that what they are doing fits in well with what others are doing. So if the finance team is doing amazing but they are unable to gel with the marketing team or the finance team or the informals team, then it's not going to work, because the money has to flow. Finance team may say we have 1 lakh, but they have to sit with all three teams, get their budgets, and make sure that everyone gets a fair amount of share. And now all these are great people, great ideas, and like you said, Ashokans, a whole breed apart, getting everyone in one room and making sure everything goes in one direction. That it, at least for us, I don't think it happens that we point to a direction and we say this is where we are going and we all go together. You
Absolutely.
have to get everyone and make sure that this is the decision that they also want. So that was my main priority. The tasks also, I used to see that minimum tasks that I have to do. If there's an admin meeting or something where showing my face would add little more value compared to what if a HOD or someone went, then I would opt for it. But otherwise, my focus was on our great team. Though we didn't interact with all of them, but at least the 7 people and the HODs was someone who we were in daily touch with. And and admin as well, the manager rank of people, they were absolute gems. They didn't give us any trouble. They went beyond their way to say, acha pehle aise hua tha, you can try this out, we'll take care of this, don't worry, this is something that you will have to tell us how to do. They were on us asking, ye kaise hoga, this, and we didn't even think about that because we have never done it. So that is something that, again, people is, they also came in
Valuable to
very,
you.
very handy.
But to you, this idea of negotiation and discussions with the admin was something that we've all heard, and we would love to know the story behind that.
So you want the tea?
Yeah, we want to tea.
They all know this is gossip. Okay. One, I will get to that, but before that,
Yeah.
I will say one thing, which is working with RochaN. I've realized one thing which I still go back to him for is he's very good with HR stuff. Like if I'm in a weird situation where I want to like talk to either someone, I'm like to talk to anyone I'm working with, be at a position higher than me, all lower than me, or if you're in a collaboration or anything, and I have like, if I want to pull out of something or that, I genuinely reach out to RochaN and I'm like, listen, I don't do this, tell me what to do. So that way his HR and like people management skills are really good. And I think that is what kept Banjaara together as well, because I am a little bit blunt, so I feel like I do end up like, you know, I don't mince my words a lot when like I do. It's not like I'm very, very blunt also, but in general that was a good complementary thing we had. And about admin, I actually have a lot more worse experience after Banjaara with admin.
Okay.
So that is my latest memory of it. But I don't remember much about what happened with admin during Banjaara. It was just, in fact, I feel like during Banjaara, admin was pretty cooperative with us only, except the security part, which admin is always very particular about, and they want us to take proper care. And a lot of times they kind of put the onus on the students organizing it, saying that, oh, matlab, you all have to take the responsibility for it, which is fair. But at the same time, I do believe it should also be a shared responsibility where they're also equally liable, because we don't want this to be just a student event. We also want it to be an Ashoka event. So it's not like admin is alag and students are alag with Banjaara or in general.
Right.
But I think that was one thing I took back.
About admin, so the thing is, everyone thinks admin is just one body and we keep negotiating with them. But the thing is, admin is not one body, and Ashoka works. It's a private company that works like a bureaucracy, if I had to put it bluntly. And for example, there's a finance team, and there is the student life office. We go to the student life office, we say we want to get the money in a Ashoka account. They send us to the finance office. Finance office tells us 18% tax while coming and 18% tax while going out. So 1 lakh ka turanti ho gaya, you get roughly 50k or 60k. And we tell the sponsors, they say, nahi, hum to private account mein nahi de sakte, they can't transfer the money. We go to the student life office, we say, please help us with something. So we are juggling between two offices here, student life office and finance office. Similarly, for the security bit, student life office says you cannot touch the students, you cannot frisk them. We say yes, we don't want to frisk our friends, and then security team says hamare guards students ko touch nahi karenge. So now it's a middle thing, and a student life office will say that you have to make sure no contrabands come in. We say okay, how? Like, how do we do it? They say get a bag scanner. Bag scanner costs 80k rent a day, and 80k is the like 40% of the total budget of the fest. So by getting this, we have to double our budget altogether. So this is something that I think Ashoka needs to improve on, that is having like one body to coordinate all of this, because students are being passed around like volleyballs from one department to other, like find out and do things like that. And I have absolute respect for the individuals working in those positions. They are great people, but the offices that they are holding and the positions that they are in, I find it tough to understand the red tape and things like that, because we have much more administrative controls. And since we came under the student life office, unlike AUES Equilibrium, which is a little more independent than Banjaara, we dealt with every policy that Ashoka ever has.
That is
was
why you are a policy expert of Ashoka.
So we were pushed into this. Option nahi tha. We had to know what the rest life policy says. We had to know what the cultural policy says, because one line somewhere, both of that will interject, and suddenly they'll show it to us and be like policy, policy, policy. And Vamika and I have signed something also, right?
Yeah,
we have signed a undertaking
a liability kind of thing.
yeah, if anything goes wrong, it's
on
going
us.
to be on
Like,
us.
I think it's something legal also. It was a pretty like scary document, but we were all like, we have faith in ourselves. We'll pull
It was
off.
3-4 lines, but it just said all encompassing documents, and half the documents we haven't seen only. So I was very against signing it, because I was like, you'll get something from somewhere and you'll put it on me. And also another incident happened during this time, that is, Hindu college has a fest called Mecca. And they were having
Mecca.
yeah.
Okay.
They were having a fight with their admin, and the admin got their students arrested. The organizers arrested. So I was like,
डर और ज़्यादा बढ़ गया.
डर और ज़्यादा बढ़ गया, and the organizers had a protest or something. A whole fiasco happened. So they don't keep so much control over their fest like Ashoka does. So my whole point was, if anything goes south, I don't want it to go south in a way that it's irreparable. So those are some stones that we checked, but Ashoka does take a lot of responsibility. I can tell you that security was beefed up extremely, and there was a quick reaction team and all of that on standby. So nothing went south, but I think this is a long journey, that finding the balance between who will do what, whose work it is to frisk the students, who is supposed to be looking inside the bag, because issue also happened that Didi could not identify something. And, cut it out later if it's not in line with the policies, but it was a pouch of weed, and the Didi she saw it and she kept it back very easily. She didn't recognize what it is, and it went in. And that's when the volunteer came running to me and said ki aisa hai. I had no idea what to say. So that was taken care, because an admin member who was standing inside had already seen it. And as soon as the student came inside the gates, the admin member said, open your bag. And she had to take it out and show it to him. He said, okay, take this packet out. Open it. So he didn't touch it. He didn't touch the packet, but he could see from far, and the guard doesn't know. And honestly, it takes a mental toll for the student to get another student caught with something. So that was, I was at the gates, so that was something that I had seen with my eyes.
I have a question. So this was your first time organizing such a big thing, and I'm sure 90%, 95% of the things you guys didn't even know what to do, and there was this whole block of information that you didn't even know you had to know. So there's this businessman called Alex Hormozy, and he has this concept called ignorance tax. It's basically this. Have you heard of it?
No, I think I know what you're saying, but
So it's basically this. Whenever you start something new, there's a whole host of skills you need to learn. And sometimes you don't even know that you need to learn this set of skills. So most of the time what you do is you spend learning those skills, and then you discover, oh, and you also need to learn video editing. Or I also need to learn how to use this piece of software or how to meddle in this. And then you realize that your list keeps on growing. So you first pay ignorance tax, and then you iterate, and then you get good. So, and this applies to anything that you're doing for the first time. So my question to you guys is, there are a lot of ambitious people at Ashoka and at any university. So for those trying something new, what advice would you give them? Because I know that's an extremely broad question, but I think to you guys it applies because you guys have done it with Banjaara, and there's so much you learned so quickly and so rapidly. And I'm sure when you look back, you're like, we could have done this better. Now, so if I give you the chance to reorganize Banjaara, you guys would you guys would operate pretty differently, I'm guessing. So, yeah, what advice would you give to students who are trying to do something new?
is this the last question? Like advice for the? Okay, no. Usually that is the last question. What advice do you have for the upcoming batch or something?
But like in this, you can also add the fact that what do you expect from the Banjaara team in the present moment that is coming.
Let's not put pressure
So
on them.
yeah,
I
just to
wouldn't want
pressurize
to.
them more, sure. Yeah. We are meeting them tonight at 10 p.m. for that,
Oh,
just to
just
make sure,
casually.
just to drop a few ideas. But
Yeah.
in general, about the skill set part, I think what I personally am not good with ideating the event. I am someone who's more on the execution bit. That is, once the event is ideated, tuck, what comes up next, how you should play everything together. Vamika, on the other hand, she's very good with the marketing and events part. So I don't think in the whole Banjaara journey there was something that we hadn't exactly done at all. Fundraising, I had done it for AUMAN. Safety and security, I had done it for ALF, and everything was done like at a smaller scale.
Yeah.
ALF we managed 40 people. Banjaara it was 1,000. So I think what we learned was the scaling up. Rather than learning something from scratch, we learned the scaling up bit, and that I think came in very handy because we had the best people for each role. And Abhay, for example, he has done 11th, 12th, I'm not sure which college, but it's a very popular college in Mumbai, Xavier's Ka Fest he has done. So yeah, so he knows exactly how that fest operates, how the PR works. So rather than me or Vamika saying him what to do, we told him, you tell us what you need from us, and we'll get all the other things to interplay together and play together. So learning something new was not the thing, and our tasks actually on the WhatsApp group we had the tasks listed, that who is doing what task for. We used to meet every 2 days till the next day. What are the things that who should take care, and what are the action items that should be completed. That is how we operated. Nice skills from scratch, I don't think we would even have time to pick up something because it was like 3 months. I think we started we got the permission on December 23rd, that's the last day of the semester, and December 25th was Saturday, and winter break started. We came back to campus in January, and so we officially started work on January 26th. That's 1 month gap, and sitting online we can't really do anything other than take interviews. So that was a break. So after we came back, skills सीखने का तो time ही नहीं था. It was just how to take
Just
it
get
higher.
Started and
I think just adding to that, so one like advice would be finding someone who complements your skill set. Like that's what RochaN also said. So just to summarize, that would be like he was good at certain things, I was good at certain things, and together we complemented each other. Similarly, he is I don't know if he still is, but he's a morning person, I'm a night person.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there was always one time, like at any point of time, either one of us was always available because I was sleeping a little bit in the morning. Used to wake up around that time. So it was like at all times I was always someone who was available. So that way, always finding someone complementary to you is important. And two, I would say as an advice to people who want to start off something new would be, I would say just jump in instead of like worrying too much about things, or like obviously like you said, you need to have some sort of prior experience, but even if you don't, I feel like on the job you learn a lot more than just thinking about I still have to do this, I still have to do that. I don't think that way you'll be able to execute what you actually want to.
Absolutely.
If you just don't jump in and like just try out things.
Absolutely.
And about the advice bit, if I can just mention, so I see a lot of first years come in that we want to do eco, computer science, finance, entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
In 4 years, first eco and CS are 15 courses. That's the highest number of courses for a pure major.
Oh, it's
And
changed now.
It's
Oh,
changed.
it's even more for
It's
us.
even more.
See,
No,
it's
but
much
ecos
more.
reduced, ecos become 12 courses.
No.
No, in 3 years.
It has
In
more
3 years.
in
No,
3
For
years.
4 years, it's now advanced econometrics and advanced something else.
It's okay, I'm taking advanced ecotrics even right now.
So the thing is that take calculated risks is what I would say. I wouldn't say take no risk or take all risks, but take calculated risks so that you know what you're getting into. For example, for Banjaara or anyone when they approach me right now for anything, any of the time commitment, first I see time, how much time it will take and how much mental space it will take. I'm very big on the mental space part because you may have 24 hours in a day out of which you are able to manage properly, but mentally what are you thinking about? So take into account your mental space, and then you have to prioritize your academics. As a student, your first focus is supposed to be your academics. If you are not prioritizing your academics, it's fine, but you should take a conscious decision that now you are pulling back from academics. And at Ashoka, I think it's not the toughest to have a average GPA. It's not the toughest. If you spend time, it may usually for 90% of the people it works out. And then it depends on like, are you feeling happy by doing something? Like, I remember in my whole Ashoka experience, only 2 times I have felt after getting into the room that why am I doing this?
Yeah.
With any events kind of things. Otherwise, I have always been like excited and
Passionate about something.
from the things that Vamika has told you, and even I have said, I don't think you would find it exciting, but we found it exciting that taking challenges every day, and you can't tie everything in with your goals because the amount of things Vamika and I have done, it can't fit into a 1-page document. That is the standard industry practice. So if you're make sure you have 1 or 2 things for it, but if you start doing everything for it, later you will realize that you don't have the mental space. That I think is something that a lot of Ashokans are not taking into account. They are thinking, oh, I have 3 club meetings 3 times a week, ho jayega. But what about the work that is there? You are thinking about it. Now that's where I think thoda reprioritization or balancing the first year students and everyone can.
Absolutely.
Reflecting on that.
Okay, so now can we start the rapid fire round?
Okay, come on. Let's get ready.
Okay, what's it? How does it work?
Wait, so is it about Banjaara? Is it about us?
It's about Banjaara and it's about a few things in yourself, and there's one answer that's for RochaN, which you have to answer in detail. We want to know the answer.
Okay.
But wait, do I have to answer for RochaN or no answer for ourselves?
Anyone, go for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's just take it now.
Let's go for it.
Like how we took Banjaara, let's just
Wait.
jump into it. Yeah.
Okay, so how many hours of sleep did you get on Banjaara days?
On Banjaara days?
On Banjaara days.
4 hours.
No, I think it was lesser for me. Wait, so one day before, like first day
On
ke pehle-
Banjaara.
On
Saturday and
Banjaara
Sunday.
day, I would say 3 hours.
3 hours, okay. Who was one bond you took back from Banjaara?
Who was the bond?
Like one
Like
person
one
who was
Like a relationship or a friendship,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Not necessarily romantic relationship, but just a friend perhaps. Right?
I would say my roommate because he was also the finance head. So the stories we have are on a different level altogether. Yeah.
For me, it's Tanvi. So she is my best friend right now, and we got very close during Banjaara also. And before also, we were a little bit close. But like right now, she's my like.
Is she your
if you
roommate?
ask anyone, no, she's 1 year older than me. But you
Okay.
ask anyone, we are stuck to the hip together. Like we are always together.
That's why she took the chocolate from him. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then she's the one who has the chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay. Banjaara journey in one word.
Exciting.
Life changing.
Okay. How would you describe yourself as a leader in one word?
People.
I don't know. This is not for me. Oh god. Learning curve. I don't know.
Okay, no worries.
For sure.
Okay. One fact about each other.
Fun fact. Not that her name is Vamika and your name is RochaN.
Okay, so before meetings or before events, Vamika tends to take a long shower, and during which she's uncontactable by all means. But yeah, we all are wondering where, and then someone says, "Oh, she's
Shower
gone for a
duty.
shower," and that time we lose hope. Ki point ही नहीं है. Let her come back, then
Yeah.
we'll pick it up.
I want to like give a correction first. One,
Okay.
I take a shower every day at night.
Every day is like from
Yeah.
At night, so मैं 9:30 जाती थी, and I meeting used to be till like usually be at 10. So थोड़ा delay हो जाता, so 9:40 I used to go and I used to come back by like 10:10. So that little bit of 10-minute gap is when he's talking about oh सारा hope छोड़ दिया and everything.
Yeah.
I used to be in the meeting by 10:10 for sure. I'm pretty sure.
Very nice.
But yeah,
One fact about
one
him.
fact about him is I told her so many facts about him. Okay.
Opinion दे दो.
He is a proper foodie. Like you go to any place, like he doesn't go to the place for the place. He goes to the place for the food. So you give him
That's
food, he
cool.
will eat everything.
Very nice. Okay, so now this is something that the world wants to know about RochaN's name. Why is there
Oh.
an N capital? We want to know that.
Can I answer? Okay,
Okay,
I'll answer a little bit and then you can
Yeah,
continue.
yeah, sure.
So the first time I asked him, so there are two reasons. One is at that time when he was in the student government, there was this one more person called RochaN in the student government, and people used to get confused between RochaN and RochaN, and he didn't want to make the C capital to make sure that अच्छा RochaN अलग है. So he was like मैं N capital कर देता हूँ. Second, it's a conversation starter.
Okay.
Yeah, you said it in a very small way. But yeah, my semesters were online, first 4 semesters, and you really can't know anything about a person when the camera is off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Profile pictures, I knew I couldn't do good with that because people had some very creative ones. And people's backgrounds were also very fancy, creative, or just normal. So I thought, what can I do different to stand out? And I capitalized the N. And
Yeah.
no one in Ashoka has ever done that. So
Or in the world.
or in the world. And this has been asked to me by in an interview. An Airbnb host has asked me, and now this is the next high.
But it's on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, so interviewer. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I think
interesting.
except Bumble, which was the intended use, everyone has asked me why the N is capital.
अच्छा बम्बल पे दूसरा सवाल पूछते हैं. Okay.
पूछते ही नहीं है ना. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a pleasure having you both on the podcast, and
Wow.
thank you so much for being here, and we hope you come back again because this is your home, because Ashoka Orators Club was obviously the place where you started your journey.
I think that's when we got to know each other. It was Orators only, no?
Yeah, if we can have just one small segment about how we came, like,
Batao,
to
batao.
yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fun.
go for
about
it.
each other. So this was again in my first year, and Vamika, being Vamika, she started out.
Your second year, no?
Yeah, it
My
was.
first year.
Yeah. How did you come to know about me? Like,
How did I come to know about you, matlab?
I'll have to do fill in the blanks. So it was Shame Jazba.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, he wants his tarif. Bolo.
तारीफ मैं खुद अपनी नहीं कर सकता ना, but no, she saw me hosting the Shame Jazba. I was in the Kalman back then, but she had applied for a role in I think Kalman
Jazba.
only, and
Events.
I am very big on emails. I read the emails, I delete, I keep a clean inbox, and I had seen Vamika was the vice president of communications or something for a political party. In her first year.
Wow.
So I was like, I have been in my
I was not
political
the vice president of I just sent an email from a political party ka ek segment on behalf to the student government, and I thought it was cool. Okay, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, my email is going to be sent to everyone.
She had a crazy designation, and I was like, you are a first year, this is a political party that doesn't exist anymore, and that has a different story, but I
I
was
don't know
like,
shit about it.
this girl is going so big, so I had a very different bias towards her, and in the first interview, I had taken an interview for something, and I grilled her on what are your other time
Orators,
commitments.
Orators.
It was for Orators, and I grilled her on what are your time commitments. So that is something that I have been behind Vamika for anything, and whenever we plan something big or anything event related,
The first question is my time commitment.
Yeah.
Vamika, what other work are you doing? You can't do this.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't say you can't do this. More like prioritize.
Yeah.
See किसको हटाना है, क्या करना है. इतना time you don't
Mental
have, you know it.
Yeah, mental
Yes,
space
mental
chahiye.
space.
This is something you need, and also the 7 people who came together. I had been on a hunt since I think Banjaara started in December 2022. We came together, but the plan had started in November 2021.
my
Is when I first spoke to Kunal, who was the press secretary for 3rd Banjaara, for AU Man ki sponsorship kaise laye. And then he sent me the sponsorship deck for Banjaara. so I took inspiration from that, and that was my first inter-college experience. वैसे हो के the next rock was the seniors week that the campus was going to see after 4 years. So that seniors week. And my senior was the Kalmin. She went to Goa. Like all of us have been, and Vamika will also be going probably.
Aren't you
But
going?
I went last year. I think
So you're
I'm
not going
going.
again?
देखेंगे कुछ और. But in general, since then I first pulled Vamika that I need to know her little more to make sure that she's
the right
someone
person.
I can work with in this thing. And Abhay as well. I had worked with him in AUMAN, and then
RochaN is recruiting while he's working like already. अभी तुम
Yeah.
लोग को भी क्या पता he's thinking about recruiting all.
no, now I'm out of that
You
business.
never
I'm
know.
leaving Ashoka. But Abhay came in during that time. Ananya, since I have seen her with Caporcho, she has been amazing. Raghav, he's my roommate, so I have actually heard him talk to vendors. And the way any 6 of us would talk to vendors and the way he would talk is totally different. So you need that cutting edge. A person from Mumbai, Bangalore can't talk to vendors like a Delhi person will. Shashwat as well. I have seen him documentation. ALF, I have seen him when things go south, how he brings it back. Tanvi as well with logistics, and since she wants to take it up as a career. So all these people, for them to come together, it's taken over
Great
a year.
observer is what I will say.
Yeah, like that was great. And people
Yeah.
is something both of us have been clear that we want the best people, and I think we have the best people for Orators as well. So
Yeah. But on that note, we would really like to say thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us. It's been lovely talking to you, and I think we could have gone for an hour, but I can see the cues coming from the directors ki khatam karo.
Yeah, cues are getting more creative as well. अभी एक और क्यू आने वाला है.